What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fluffinutta back at it again with another video. And oh boy, this is a video I didn't think I was gonna make so soon, but after watching the trailer for the Fantastic Four that's coming out in June or July, I forget already. I think it's July. I wanted to go ahead and watch the Fantastic Four, and I'm saving the one that I enjoyed thoroughly from 2005 and I believe 2007 with Rise of the Silver Surfer. I loved both of those movies. However, I decided, since I've already used some footage from the 2015 one, I would go back and watch the 2015 one, and got a little bit of a hot take. Before I get into what my hot take is, I am going to first off ask you guys if you do enjoy today's video, or if you just like my content, please leave a like. It does help out the channel a lot, and be sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all of my newest videos and see if there's any other wild hot takes that I have compared to everyone else, because this is one of the rare takes that you'll ever hear on the internet. So that being said, let's just hop right into it. Yeah, so I watched the 2015 Fantastic Four movie with Miles Teller, and I gotta say, even though I've heard about every single horror story from this film under the sun, and when I first watched it, I completely did not enjoy it. But that being said, I decided to rewatch the movie in its entirety, and going into it, I had watched some stuff, learned about the horror story of the director, Miles Teller not really wanting to be there, and a lot of the cast members didn't really enjoy working on this film. I really wish they would have had an actual fucking director that was not a complete dickhead and wanted to tell more of a sci-fi story rather than a comic book movie story. I mean, fuck's sakes, why would you hire somebody that does not want to do anything associated with a comic book movie or with the comic books when they're working on a comic book movie? It does not make sense. I'm sick of people trying to reinvent the wheel. Stick to the fucking source material. It works. You'll make money that way. It's not that fucking hard. I mean, it's not rocket science. They make it harder than it is to make these kind of movies, and I think it's fucking stupid. However, this movie is different from any other comic book movie in terms of this is like a darker, gritty sci-fi movie rather than a comic book movie. And, a lot of movies that go down this route end up following The Dark Knight, and I love and hate those movies. And a lot of people do thoroughly love them. Don't get me wrong. I love those Batman movies. However, that's a type of movie that only works for that kind of scenario, right? Like, it was only perfected, and it's like only like a one-off. And a lot of the stuff in the movie doesn't actually work for me and doesn't land like it should. However, that being said, even though this movie is considered a big old piece of doo-doo dog ass on paper, actually watching the movie, if this had a chance to be directed by somebody that actually gave a shit about the Fantastic Four, I actually found myself enjoying the cast. Like, Miles Teller as Reed Richards is not that bad. Like, I actually enjoyed his take on Reed. And I'm glad that he was cast as Reed. I liked who they had as Sue Storm. I even liked Johnny for the most part. I felt like he was like underutilized, but again, like I said in my initial Fantastic Four trailer review, it is hard to fuck up Johnny. And I know at the time I thought it was weird that they changed him up on how he normally is, but I gotta say he did a pretty decent job. And again, it's just not hard to fuck up the Human Torch. The Human Torch is always going to be cool no matter who plays him, and I feel like this is no exception. He was pretty badass. I remember when I first initially saw how the Thing was going to look, I thought that the Thing was doo-doo dog ass. However, watching it, it's not that bad. Like, could it have been better? Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. There's a lot of things in this movie that could have been better. Is it the absolute fucking dog-ass worst compared to what we've seen nowadays with the MCU? I don't fucking think so. Like, honestly, I would rather watch this over the Marvels any day of the fucking week. And She-Hulk. Honestly, I'm gonna say it. This is a wild fucking hot take. This shit's better than She-Hulk. So, I mean, there's that. So, and then I know a lot of people shit on Doctor Doom, but like, Doctor Doom in this still has aura. Like, he's walking down a hallway, fucking deflecting shit with his mind, literally blows up a dude's fucking head. Like, dude, he's got aura in this. Like, even though his suit looks like his fucking look looks like doo-doo dog ass, again, that doesn't change the fact that the dude's got aura. The casting for Doctor Doom in this was okay. They just needed to redesign him a little bit, make him look cooler, or better yet, have his hood on the whole time, because when he has the little cloak on, he actually does look decent. I cannot lie. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so this movie starts off with a young Reed Richards in his classroom, just scribbling down some notes, and then he's doing a project on what he wants to do and be when he grows up. And he says that he wants to be the first person to teleport. Everybody laughs him off, but then he explains, through scientific, and this movie leans heavily into scientific, like, bullshit, to make it grounded. That's one of the things that, The Dark Knight really opened up for these kind of comic book movies, was to ground them in realistic bullshit, but the whole point of comic book movies was to take you away from the realism. I mean, it works with Batman because Batman's he doesn't have any superpowers, so to make a grounded Batman movie, that makes sense. A grounded Fantastic Four movie does not work as well, but they somehow managed to make it a decent sci-fi film, if that makes sense. Like, as a sci-fi film, if you were to just watch this, have it not connect to anything of the Marvel universe, it's a decent sci-fi film. It's a film, it's like a dark, gritty sci-fi film where they go into space, they get powers, they come back, one of the people that they go with fucking gets clapped, so they think, and then, the government experiments on them. Oh shit, turns out they want to go back. They go back. The fucking dude's not dead. He comes back with them, decides to like literally clap cheeks because the government now wants to go and use all the resources on that world. This pisses him off because he feels like he's a god now. And to be fair, fucking fair enough, dude. Bro's got fucking powers that fucking he can use his mind at will to just destroy anything he fucking wants. Dude's got so much aura that he fucking sends himself back just to fucking prove a point. And honestly, fucking legend, dude. Like, this dude's got so much aura that fucking nobody can stop him. Like, dude fucking gets all the way back to his universe with fucking ease. And then he's like, you know what? Fuck y'all. Y'all want to take my shit? I'll fuck your shit before you fuck my shit, bro. Y'all gonna learn today that don't fuck with Doom. And he boy howdy, oh shit, he comes in clapping. So yeah, that happens in the later ends of the movie. Let me start back over. Okay, so we're back in the classroom, right? And Reed is getting laughed at, and he's like, "Nah, dude, I'm building this shit in my garage, and yeah, I'm gonna fucking prove it. I'm gonna prove that I'm not what you say that I am." And then he goes and sits his ass back down. Ben comes up, and then we cut to Ben going home. He's living at a junkyard with his family. His brother's a dickhead, beats the shit out of him, and he finds Reed in his junkyard and is like, "Hey, bro, what the fuck you doing here, bro? I know you're from school. Like, what the hell? Are you here to try to build that machine?" He's like, "Yeah, I need a part. I can show you if you want." So they go back to his garage. He's working on it. He gets the last parts that he needs, sets it up, and then it works. He's able to teleport a small model car to another dimension. He doesn't know it at the time, but he's teleporting it to a different location, and some rocks appear where the car was. But however, this causes a blackout for his neighborhood, and his dad is pissed. We cut several years later. They're older now. I believe they're like 18 or something, in high school, doing a science fair project. He gets laughed at again and basically disqualified from the project because he makes a thing that works. But everybody's like too dumb to realize how smart he actually is. Besides Ben. Ben's like, "Yeah, I mean, this shit works. I mean, what the fuck are y'all talking about?" And Ben's cool. Ben actually low-key reminds me of Tom Holland. I don't know why, but his casting really, like, he could have easily been Peter Parker and replaced Tom Holland, and like I wouldn't have even batted an eye. That's how close and similar they look. But yeah, he gets talked up by Franklin. I forget his name. It's Franklin something. But basically asking him to come to the Baxter building because they've been working on something similar, and they explain to him that he's discovered how to properly send stuff to the other dimension. And so he goes to the Baxter building. Ben and him part ways because, Ben's not as smart as he is. So he goes back to working at the junkyard. And they run him through on what he's going to be doing. They're going to help build this machine that'll allow people to be properly sent to and from the dimension. And they end up getting the help of Victor Von Doom, who is kind of a recluse, keeps off to himself. He's like an anti-fuck the establishment type of guy. He was the one originally working on the project with everybody and Sue, and basically he's like, nah, if the government's gonna fucking try to take my shit, I don't want any part of it. So Sue and Johnny's dad goes to him and asks him, hey bro, can you like come help us? We need your help. And he's like, fuck it, fine, but only if Sue's there. Is she gonna be there? And the dad's like, yeah. And like, okay. So they're setting up that like they have like chemistry, but like dude's just like got a crush. They really don't have chemistry. And that becomes apparent when he gets there, and then obviously has to assert himself in the room, trying to make sure that he's like the big dog on the streets. Little does he know that Reed's I want to point out Reed's also constantly getting shit on for no reason other than just because he's a fucking nerd. And honestly, I don't mind that. Like the way his dude gets fucking shit on, even though he's the smartest man in the room, that's the irony in it. And Miles does that so well, and little bro gets shit on way too much. But honestly, everybody does a great job. I even found myself liking Victor. Like they all worked pretty well together. Like the dialogue, yeah, it's weird, but it's not as weird as She-Hulk. It's not as weird as the Marvels. So we're good on that front. Anyways, continuing on the movie, they finally are able to get things underway, and they have the machine working. Victor notices that Reed is like talking up on Sue, and he's like, hey bro, I need you to let you know that like that's my girl, bro. But like he was like trying to do it subtly, but like it doesn't work as he planned because they had finished the machine and they were just talking. And so they test the machine on a monkey with the guy that plays the leader in the Incredible Hulk. He's now playing a guy that was supposed to be the Mole Man, but we'll get to what happens to him later on. I don't know his name. I'm just going to call him Government Boy Number 5. So Government Boy Number 5 is watching with everyone as they send this monkey to the dimension to test out if it works. Oh, I forgot to mention that Johnny also was racing, got in trouble, and was told to come help work on the project as well. So they're all kind of working together with Johnny and everybody. Johnny loses his car because he's street racing and is forced to work with everyone and to try to get his car back, as long as he helps improve himself and not be doing stupid shit. So back to it, they send the monkey to the other dimension, everything works properly. Now they're like, all right, now it's time to send some people, and Government Boy Number 5 is like, hey bro, that's great, we're gonna get people at NASA going through, and we're gonna make sure that they're ready to go for this mission. And everybody's like, wait, what the fuck, I thought we were gonna go, like us, the people that build it. And they're like, Government Boy Number 5 is like, fuck you on about, bro, like this was not agreed upon, the fuck. And then the Reed and Johnny, Sue and Johnny's dad is like, hold up, I'm gonna talk to him. Let me talk to him real quick. Get the shit slid up on, and we'll get you there, boys. Don't worry. So he goes off for the gang and tries to tries to represent, you know, and tries to get them to be able to go. And this is when Victor and Johnny and Reed decide to get drunk, because they're like, man, this is some bullshit. We spent all this hard work for basically fuck all. And, you know, Victor makes a speech about how, like, you know, we've sent people to the moon, but those were just hired faces to go. And, like, the real scientists were the ones that actually never ended up getting to go, even though they wanted to go. And there's some dude in a bar somewhere drinking, like, yeah, I sent men to the moon. And he's probably, like, laughed at, but in reality, it's probably true. Which, you know, makes sense. And this inspires Reed to be like, fuck it, why don't we just go? Like, what are they gonna do? Stop us? Like, the fuck? Like, we built this shit. We can go. Like, we'll be back before anybody even notices. Like, come on now. Let's do this shit. We got this shit. How hard could it be? So, everybody's like, you know what? Yeah, he's right. But Reed's like, hey, if I'm going, I'm taking the guy that's been my day one all the way through, and he's coming with me. So he calls up Ben. Ben gets his happy ass up and over to the Baxter building, and they all prepare to go. They get into the thing, they get strapped up, suited up, and everything. Ben introduces himself to the boys, and the boys all go to the other dimension. Sue realizes that the machine's on, and they're like, what the fuck are they doing now? Trying to be like big old mama bear, like, what the fuck are they? They're fucking idiots. And goes over, sees that the thing's already gone, and they're already in the other dimension. Well, they're exploring, doing some shit, and they notice some energy. Johnny's like, I ain't fucking climbing down this cliff. And they're like, all right, fine, we need an anchor anyway. And so they climb down to inspect some green glowing energy, which, honestly, to be fair, fucking stupid. They should have just stayed back, looked at everything from afar, came there, did their shit, and then go away. But, you know, scientists being scientists, they gotta explore some shit that's new to them, because it's fucking cool. Honestly, they go up, and Victor, you know, starts feeling himself a little bit. It's like, fuck yeah, I did this. While everybody else is like, yeah, well, fuck it, we did it, yeah. But he's like, nah, man, I did this shit. I got us here. And then he's like touching this fucking energy, which, again, Victor's just fucking stupid. But, you know, he's touching this shit, and, you know, this is when a geyser of energy bursts up, damn near like burning Victor's arm completely off, and they start running, trying to make their way back. And then the planet starts fucking exploding with energy. And as they're climbing up, Victor gets fucking clapped by the energy burst and is damn near caught on fire with this green energy. And Reed's trying to pull him up, but more energy claps up on him, and then it singes the rope that's holding him, and Reed can't hold on any longer and lets Victor go, and he falls, presumably to his death. And Reed and Ben and Johnny all end up trying to escape. However, they can't get a hold of Sue in time, and as they finally get a hold of Sue, Ben's door won't close, so rocks are starting to fill in via energy and shit, and start clamoring on to Ben. Meanwhile, as Johnny's trying to get Sue to initiate the manual launch override, his pod bursts into flames. Really don't know what happens to Reed's, but Reed gets affected by some energy as well in a different way. And then she finally ends up getting the override to work, but as she does, the energy explodes and expands onto her to where she was affected as well. So she never ended up going to the zone, but got affected due to sending them back. And the entire area explodes, and it's kind of like a horror scene, actually, where Reed wakes up, like Johnny's completely fucking burnt and on fire, or you assume that he's burnt, but he's completely on fire. His leg's stuck, and he's trying to get out. He thinks he got out from under this like thing that fell on top of him, and he's crawling, trying to get to Ben, because he can hear Ben screaming for help. But all he sees is like a pile of rocks, and he thinks that Ben is underneath the rocks, when in reality Ben is the rocks. And as he looks back, he sees that his leg is stretched because his leg was never actually lifted out from under the thing. This scene is very... up to this point, you know, this movie actually was pretty fucking, you know, cool. It was pretty alright. You know, it was just a standard sci-fi adventure here. Like this was actually pretty decent. Mostly a lot of the problems I had with the movie was the dialogue felt weird, and the pacing was off. But you know, shitty director, shitty movie. You know. Anyways, that being said, Reed passes out, wakes up, and they're all in different rooms. And we see that he's super elongated and can now stretch his limbs. But he can't seem to control it. None of them can seem to control what is going on right now. And they're running some tests on them, but he passes back out again, and we cut to old boy, John and Sue's dad, who's like, what the fuck happened to them all? And they're like, well, they went through, and then some shit happened. Your daughter, he's like, I want to see my kids. And he goes over to where Sue's at, and they're like, yeah, Sue can now bend the light and is like going invisible on the spectrum, the light spectrum. And she can't seem to control it, so she's phasing in and out of being invisible. And he's like, damn, that sucks. What about my boy? And they take him to see Johnny. Johnny is completely, fully on fire. Johnny wakes up, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, a bunch of energy explodes because he's freaking the fuck out. He calms down, but he's still on fire. And then, you know, Reed wakes up, and he's like, what the fuck? What's happening? And he's trying to move around. He can't. He's locked in, and he hears Ben screaming for help still, and Ben's in a room, and he notices a vent, so he controls his limbs to contort back to their normal, somewhat normal positions, and he goes and crawls through the vent. He's still stretching as he does this. The visuals are very cool on how he's stretching and stuff, so it's not honestly too bad. And he looks down, sees that Ben is in a room made completely out of rocks. He's like, I'm gonna fix this. He's like, help me, Reed. You gotta help me. You did this to me. You gotta help me. And but as they're talking, an alarm goes off, and the government's coming after Reed because he escaped his cell. He can't help Ben if he's stuck in the cell. He tells Ben to wait up. I got you, bro. But then he dips out, and then it cuts to the government boy number 5 coming in and like, well, you know, we could use them for some stuff, especially Ben. So he goes up to Ben. He's like, hey, bro, your friend ain't coming back. He's left. He's gone now. But, you know, we're going to do everything we can to fix you, but you're going to help us first. And he's like, fuck it, fine. Whatever. You know, I've got nothing left. Fuck it, might as well. And then he goes on missions. And we spend a year cutting a year off to where Reed's off doing his own shit, trying to figure out what happened to them. And yeah, so everybody else is trying to figure out some shit with their powers. The thing is working for the government, doing covert missions and like destroying the fuck out of like tanks and shit. It was pretty badass. I wish we would have actually got a montage of it. But yeah, so he's off doing that. Johnny's learning how to control his ability. They're all learning how to control their abilities, and Reed's off trying to figure out what the fuck happened, essentially. And you know, we cut to Sue and Johnny talking. Apparently Johnny's going to go out on his first mission, and she doesn't think that it's responsible, and Johnny doesn't want to be cured and all that stuff. And the dad's like, hey man, like they're gonna start, it's like talking to Sue and like, hey dude, like they're gonna start sending Johnny out, and you know how Johnny is. Johnny's reckless. He's gonna get himself fucking killed, and we need to cure everybody. And Sue's like, yeah. And the dad's like, yeah, but there's only one problem. We need to get Reed back. He'll be able to help fix this. But she's like, nah, dude, like, come on, like he's been gone for over a year. He doesn't want to help. And he's like, that's not true. Just trust him. And then she's like, well, I don't even know how to find him. But like he's like, yeah, you do. And there's a whole thing with her and patterns, and so she uses her pattern abilities to discover where Reed's at. Reed's apparently been off the grid trying to find Ben and all this good stuff to try to fix him. And he's been living off by himself, moving place to place, and they find him. And government boy number 5 goes up to Ben. He's like, hey, bro, we found Reed. You're going to like this. We need to send you out on a mission. He's like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do this thing. It's clobbering time. He didn't actually say it's clobbering time, but, you know, it would have been nice. But he goes to go get Reed back, and Reed notices them. He sent out alarms and stuff to like make sure nobody's in the airspace. But people drop in. He has a cool fight scene where he like claps back against these soldiers and almost wins until Ben drops in. He's like, "Hey, bro, what the fuck? You left me for over a year, you piece of shit." And he's like, No, it's not what it looks like. It's not what it looks like. And he doesn't give a fuck. He like headbutts Reed, knocks him out unconscious. And he goes back and is taken capture. And we have a meeting with Government Boy number 5 explaining that like, look, we're running out of resources here on Earth. Best case scenario, we're able to get the dimensional transporter up and running, and we're gonna take their resources from this planet because it's cool and shit, and we'll have a lot of stuff, and we'll be able to do that kind of shit. And also, this gave them powers, so like we're gonna figure out how to cure them, but we're gonna give our military soldiers powers, and we'll be fucking unstoppable. Like we'll definitely be able to fucking win whatever shit comes our way. And so everybody is in agreement, and they go back. They now have Reed. Reed is forced to help work on the transdimensional thing, and so he does, and does it within 10 minutes, actually, like less than 10 minutes, and fixes the code to be able to send it to and from. And they're watching the initial launch, and they send people through, and as this team's through in what they are calling Planet Zero, which honestly it's just the negative zone. They're in the negative zone, and they're walking through. They're like doing some tests on the soil and stuff, and they notice a heat signature coming about 60 feet or meters or whatever off in the distance, and it's walking towards them. It's Victor. He's alive, and he comes back with them to Earth, and they get him into the pod, and everything's cool and hunky-dory. They strap him down. His suit has fused to his body, and yeah, so he looks like a realistic Doctor Doom. Honestly, doesn't look that bad. The helmet's a little bit thin than I would have liked, but it is what it is. He still looks pretty dope. I can't lie. Like, whatever. Like, if we're able to have Bane looking like how Bane looked, I honestly could give a shit less. Like, people are just picky and choosy too much. He was still pretty badass. Anyways, so he's strapped down to the chair, and they're talking to him. Government Boy number 5 specifically is like, "Hey, dude, we're gonna fix you, but you need to tell us everything you know." And he's like, "Fuck that, I'm not telling you, because you're just gonna fucking destroy my world." And Government Boy number 5 is like, "Your world? What the fuck you on about?" But yeah, Government Boy number 5's like, "What do you mean your world? You're not a god, dude. You're just a guy. We're gonna help you." And he's like, "Fuck no. If y'all are gonna destroy my planet," and he's claiming it as his planet now, he's like, "If you're gonna claim my planet, I'm gonna fuck up yours before you can fuck up mine." And he kills the dude. He kills Government Boy number 5, and breaks free. And Government Boy number 5, it's unfortunate that he died, because he was originally gonna be Mole Man and attack the city with dark mattered moles, which would have been interesting. But yeah, so Mole Man gets killed, which was Government Boy number 5. Doom breaks free, goes back, trying to get back to the telepod. He's walking down the hallway being a badass. They're trying to shoot and kill him, but he's like, "Nah, ain't having that shit. I'm going back home." And gets into a pod. The Fantastic Four try to stop him, and before they're able to even get close to him, he kills Sue and Johnny's dad right in front of them. And this pisses Johnny off. Johnny tries to go through and stop Victor. None of them can stop Victor. He makes it back to the negative zone. And from there, he decides to open up a portal using the shuttle that brought him there, and opens up a portal which causes like a black hole that would potentially suck everything from Earth and put it into Planet Zero. And when it crosses through, it'll fall into the energy beam and destroy everything that falls into it. So he's basically just going to destroy it bit by bit until it's gone. And yeah, because he's that much of a badass and that petty. He's just going to destroy everything. That's such a Doom move. But they're like, we gotta stop this shit. They go through. Sue shuttles, because they're all starting to get sucked in. She protects Ben and Reed with her shield, and herself, of course, inside this spherical orb of energy. And Johnny just flies straight on through. And they go into Planet Zero through this portal. And they come out the other side. Johnny knocks them out of the way to not fall into the thing, disintegrating a bunch of shit. And they're like, okay, we're here. How the fuck are we going to stop this guy? They try attacking him one by one. That doesn't work. Reed watches them all fail. Reed then goes and gives his hand and tries to give it a shot. Doesn't even come close. And they're like, all right, we can't do this alone. We got to work together as a team. So they start working as a team, trying to kick his ass. Doom puts up a very good fight. He's pretty much a god in this realm, so he's like fucking like using his telekinetic abilities, which is cool as fuck. Starts doing all that, and ends up getting clapped. And Reed gets up on him, and it's like, hey bro, you thought you were smarter than me? Nah man, ain't true. And he's like, I am smarter than you. And Sue uninvisibles the thing goes, it's clobbering time, motherfucker, bashes him into the portal. He gets disintegrated, or so we think. He probably got transported to another realm, most likely, but we won't know until Secret Wars, because they might have a fucking Council of Dooms, which would be fucking cool. Have RDJ start killing off the other Doctor Dooms. That would be fucking fire, bro. Just saying. But yeah, so they save the day. They shut down the portal. Before the portal closes, they go through, and bada bing, bada boom, they are now saviors of the world. And the government wants to thank them, but wants to still have control over them. They're like, fuck you, you're not controlling us, but we will help you as long as you give us a facility to work out of. And they'll be badasses. So they get their own facility, and we get the famous line of, what are we going to call ourselves? And then the thing goes, we come a long way since the garage. It's gotta say, it's fantastic. And then Reed's like, say that again? It's fantastic. Yes, it is. And then he goes, I got it. The Fantastic Four. And then that's how it ends. Overall, rewatching it, I had a blast rewatching it. Like, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it being. Especially coming off of seeing some of the shittier Marvel movies that we've gotten in shows. This, by far, is not as bad. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not comic accurate in any way, shape, or form. However, the time that it was made, it isn't as bad as people said that it was. I know there was a lot of horror stories in the background, and they try to make best of it. I feel like if this movie really had a different director, who wasn't being a complete douchebag and being a complete dickhead, this movie could have actually been great, fantastic even, because the elements to make a great Fantastic Four film were there. Like, the cast was all great. Like, I loved the cast. The four main dudes were cool. Doom was cool. They just needed to redesign him a little bit more and make him more comic accurate. The dude who directed it made it way too fucking much like a sci-fi film. And on alone, standalone from Marvel, like, if this was just like a normal like reiteration of the Fantastic Four, it does a pretty decent job at being that, not connected to any part of the Marvel universe. It does a good job of being that. And overall, it's pretty good. Is it the greatest thing in the world? Hell no, it's not the greatest. I mean, it could have been super better if we got an actual comic accurate fucking Fantastic Four, but it's more in tone and in line with the times, more so with the Dark Knight and that trilogy of Batman films. That's what it's more akin to, and that's just a product of the era we were in, with those gritty, realistic, grounded movies. I mean, it's not really grounded, but it's like a dark, gritty sci-fi movie. And slap Marvel off of it, this could have been an interesting sci-fi film and character study, of these 4 individuals that get powers, and of course, they end up becoming the Fantastic Four, but, it definitely did not feel like a comic book movie, and I feel like that's where it falters a lot, because if it would have stuck a little bit more closer to the comics, it would have been pretty fantastic. Out of 10, I would say that this movie is a solid 7. It was a 7. It was enjoyable enough. Wasn't the greatest, wasn't the worst either. It's a solid 7 for me out of 10. Maybe I'm giving it a little bit too high. I don't know. It wasn't as bad as I remember it being, that's for sure. And I definitely think it is worth a rewatch if you have nothing left to watch. And just are looking for like a goofy fucking sci-fi movie. It's what it is. It's a goofy sci-fi movie. It doesn't last too long. It's very short for what I would expect that kind of movie to be, especially with the stuff that it was going for. It felt like it needed like an extra hour to like drag things on, or maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But for me, it was pretty fast. But maybe I like that more. That it's fast. It's a quick watch. Didn't take too long. Didn't overstay its welcome. I just feel like some things were rushed a little bit too much and could have been lengthened a little bit more to give the proper spacing. But overall, I enjoyed myself watching this, and hopefully you enjoyed my review and breakdown of the movie. And I hope to do more movie reviews like this and go back through the different ones. I'm going to go through and do the Marvel movies in cinematic order in timeline. Or a release order, and start reviewing some of those, but we'll get to that later. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like if you did. Let me know down in the comments what you liked about the movie, if there was anything at all that you liked. Let me know what you hated. Maybe there were some details that I missed and overlooked that were absolutely dog ass, and I'm wrong, and you should tell me that, because I would like to know. More than likely I am wrong, but I'm fine with that. I'm fine with being wrong, because at the end of the day, it's just my opinion, and it's just a movie at the end of the day. I know that it was not successful in the box office, but honestly, I don't care about box office. I don't care about critic reviews. I just care about my own opinions, and my own opinions are what I have stated, so you know what? It is what it is. If I go against the grain on things, I go against the grain. That's just who I am. I take the road less traveled by, and it has made all the difference. But anyways, that'll do it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces, everybody. Bye-bye.